freight efficiency with NACFE's Mike Roth and Friends.
Here in episode 126, we have joining us Zhe Wang. He's a principal of RMI's China program, where we talk about China's focus on decarbonizing trucking, the fast growth of what he calls new energy trucks, and what is driving this growth. He also talks about the recent Rush to Zero program, which was modeled on NACFE's Run on Less, and the program's role in increasing the confidence and the viability of new energy trucks in the Chinese market. Today we have joining us Zhe Wang. Zhe is a principal at RMI in China, working on trucking and freight. And it's a real pleasure to have you on today. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because we've got kind of a very interesting background, I think, Zhe, and it's going to be fun. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for inviting me to this podcast. And it's really glad to be part of that. And just been working with RMI in China program for about 10 years. And especially most of the 10 years are focusing on the trucking sector and decarbonization for the heavy-duty trucks and also some light-duty trucks. So it's going to be really exciting for me to join this podcast.
And you're a young guy, so you've been working on trucks a big part of your life. Well,
Yeah.
before we dive in, we called this at the onset, freight efficiency with NACFE's Mike Roth and Friends. So it is an absolute requirement that you be a friend to be a guest. And, occasionally I get asked, can I be on your podcast? And I said, nah, you're not a friend yet. So let's have a cocktail or let's go meet somewhere or let's chat. And if we become friends, you qualify. So how do you remember how we met and how we, became friends?
Yeah, sure. I think I heard about you much earlier than I actually met you. It's like when I joined RMI in 2015, it was like October, and I started working on that with Dave and Josh a little bit, and they just assigned me some tasks like in November, December time, training me on skills and also seeing how I work it out and something like that. So at that time, they just told me a kind of a task on summarizing a deck about NACFE's key works and also the key takeaways there. So I think that's the kind of a starting of the time I know, oh, this is a great organization there called NACFE, and that's kind of affiliated with RMI and doing a lot of great jobs. And the way they established and also the way they driving the efficiency work and also decarbonization work in the U.S. or North America is super great there. So it took a while, putting all of the details and also the contents and structures, learn a lot about like all different kinds of the technologies for trucks.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of my 101 for me on the trucking sector. And then I think just after that, like we held one like charrette, that's RMI called charrette, in China, bringing in a lot about the experiences NACFE had about how the freight efficiency going to be improved by different kind of business models and also different types of solutions. It was successful. And after that, I think it was like 2017 when I found that it's not going to be enough for me. Like just sitting here in China and learning about all the things on the websites or some report stuff. So I think that's kind of the thing I initiated talking with Dave and Josh, and also with John Kratz, also as he's CEO of RMI now, and at that time he was the managing director for the China program, and because we have the kind of learning and development fund for supporting each of the employee on the kind of different projects, and why not like I try something, just go there into the U.S., sitting in the U.S. and working with you directly.
Yeah. I remember that.
That's kind of the things where it happened, and I think it's an amazing experience there.
Yeah, I remember. So a couple of thoughts that you brought up. One is we at NACFE are kind of flattered that, there's people working on freight and trucking all over the world that keep asking us, well, what is a NACFE workshop like? What is Run on Less? I mean, we'll get into that here with working with you here in 2025 on a Run on Less in China. But we're also talking to Australia about a Run kind of effort, and as well as in Europe. So I think we at NACFE we've kind of stumbled upon or created a process of how you work with the industry, how we work with NGOs and governments and so forth. So yeah, that's fun. I do remember it well. I mean, now that you talk through it, before you came to the States, you actually helped us with one of our fleet fuel studies and the analysis. And I remember thinking, man, this is a sharp guy. And then when the opportunity, you came to the States, that's right, in 2017, helped us think about the future of NACFE. We were about 8 years old at the time, and we called it NACFE 2.0, and we were trying to figure it out. And you helped us launch into emerging technologies. So that's been a big part of what we've done in the last 10 years, Joe. So thank you for that help and those insights back then. You don't just come and work with NACFE or Mike Roth, you become family. So I remember you joining us at the Indy 500. Here's this, towering, what are you, like 6'6" Chinese guy walking around and having a great time at the Indy 500 watching fast cars. I remember that well. All right. Tell us a little bit about what has been going on for you and your team and the work in China. I know very little about Chinese trucking and freight, but I'm reminded all the time that you already have tens of thousands of heavy duty electric tractors and trucks running around hauling freight. So just give us a Chinese trucking 101 for our audience.
Yes, for sure. You're right, Mike. Like, we have like 25,000 new energy heavy duty trucks now in the market, and that is about like 2 to 3% of the total stock there. China is a really very big freight market. It has a territory, I think, similar to the U.S., and the trucks need to go around everywhere to deliver the everyday goods. And also, as the e-commerce coming up, growing very fast, everybody is using that to get their food and also their everyday usage, and also utilities. A lot of the infrastructure stuff just by trucks like steel, cement, and also minerals and everyday goods. So everything is about like using trucks to deliver the things across the country. For heavy duty trucks, they're covering mostly the long haul deliveries. It ranges from like about 200 to 300 kilometers per day towards like a 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers a week. So it's a kind of big market, and also the free market structure is it's a little bit different from the U.S. It is more like we have a lot of smaller guys, maybe just one or two people, a couple. They can just rent or buy several trucks and can operate some delivery stuff, and that causes some of the challenges about we have a lot of the supply of the trucks than the real demand that everybody needs. So the price is kind of low for delivering, and that leads to some of the overloading and also some of the challenges for us to increase the fuel efficiency. But I think from 2020, it is the starting point when new energy trucks, electric ones and hydrogen fuel cell ones, they came up into the world. And China takes up very fast. So the electric trucks now in China, they are mostly like 400 and 500 kilowatt hours batteries. You could be trying to run like 200 to 300 or some to 400 kilometers of the range now. And hydrogen fuel cells are similar to that, and it can be a little bit longer than that, it's like 500 or so kilometers. New energy trucks is still a small portion in Chinese market, but it's growing very fast.
One of the things that I think is very common around most of the world is, diesel's been an outstanding fuel to haul freight. I say this all the time, and and diesel engines, we can be efficient, and so it dominated goods movement all around the world. And so diesel trucks became a commodity. I mean, now sometimes the truck OEMs will get mad at me when I say that. I mean, they each have some unique characteristics, but they became just easy to buy, easy to run, and cheap on the used market. And so that encouraged a whole lot of small fleets all over the world to haul our freight. And for the most part, that's a really good thing. Of course, now we see that diesel, petroleum fuels might be peaking, and we didn't quite understand the dangerous climate effects and air effects. And so we've made with emissions equipment, these diesel trucks have become very complex. And so they're no longer that, kind of cheap commodity that we ended up. So as now the transformation occurs, that's a big challenge for us because there's all these companies and businesses and way of moving freight is so entrenched in that model. So I don't, I think it's pretty similar in the U.S. to China. What drove then? And I kind of like the term new energy trucks that you guys use, and I'm guessing that's both an RMI and a common China term. Zero emission vehicles that just kind of turns the hair up on a lot of people's necks, and I don't know that I like it either. So maybe I'll start using new energy as well. But what drove that? I mean, why did that become a thing? Was it a Chinese government or a public or marketplace? What kind of triggered you said in 2020? So what triggered it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there are several factors. Dominant one should be the policy. I think China has a really strong, ambitious carbon and also energy transition targets that leads and covers every sector. So, every sector by like a lot of the heavy duty trucks are covering not only transportation themselves, but also they're helping deliver things for heavy industry sector. And that's kind of we now found it's a really compelling factors influencing those shippers taking up these new energy trucks, because there are similar policies like if you are not owning or using those new energy trucks with certain emission levels, you're not going to be using the trucks to go into the industry park or manufacturers areas, something like that, which going to be also limiting your production capacity you can own. So that's going to be a strong incentives for these shippers or these manufacturers thinking actively onto using new energy trucks to exchange for more of the secure capacity and also every day of the work. And secondly, I think it's most of the MNCs or shippers, they are having stronger voluntary targets and also voluntary capacities to switching from the original high emission or not very efficient delivery models into upgraded ones. And also new energy trucks and those low emission ones are top of their strategy. So they are forcing some of the carriers to use new energy ones and those electric ones or hydrogen ones so that they can get orders.
It's fascinating to me. One of the things you said that we're witnessing here as well is in a mature market, sometimes we don't even work on efficiency enough. It's just like, well, this is my truck and I run it. And here in the States, the average fuel economy of a truck used to be well under 6 miles per gallon. Now it's approaching 7. So we've done better. But, some of the best are doing 10 and 11 mile per gallon. So there's still a lot of work we can do on tires and aerodynamics and routing and a lot of things to improve. But, in a mature sort of like this diesel world that we've been chatting about, there's not a lot of motivation to do that. There's a little bit of cost savings, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But when what we're finding is the truck drivers and the fleets that are operating these new energy trucks, these battery trucks, they're working really hard to get the range. And now they're working hard on basic efficiency. They're really looking at the aerodynamics and tires and driving and speed and all those things that we've been working on for decades, with some improvement, but with a lot of resistance because of just the maturity of the market. So these new battery electric trucks in particular are actually pulling the efficiency things as well. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that interesting?
It's really interesting. And things are common, also similar to that in China. People purposely they found very hard to get efficiency improvements, especially on China's like a lot of supply and limited demand of the goods, and people are turned into like different ways on competing with a very low price to compete with each other, which makes no space for upfront investment on the fuel efficiency tax, and also some improvement. And also trucks are used only like 4 to 5 years, and then go into the secondhand market,
Mhm.
which makes the payback very hard to realize. But now it's like things are kind of different. Like this new energy are also incentivizing people think about more of the ways they can do in parallel instead of only this kind of new energy solutions.
So this may be a simple question, but in the U.S., there's been a lot of talk about electrifying the ports. So those ports on the West Coast and even on the East Coast that are receiving a lot of goods from, China and other places around the world. Is the same holding true in China, where there it'd be a little bit more, I would suppose, on outbound freight, but are the ports kind of a heartbeat or a start or a first wave of these electric trucks in China, because they all are going to the same sort of port or same place, so it's a little bit of a predictable route. Is that happening on your side as well?
Definitely, that's a definitely a really good starting point, and everybody starts on that, on Shenzhen and also around Shanghai places. We saw the first movers are all doing the scenarios, port warehouse scenarios. So that makes a lot of sense for them. Like only 200, 300 kilometers delivery every day. And it's going to be stable routes every day, and also you can find charging places very easy. So that's definitely really attractable for shippers and carriers. Think about that, and then they gradually move into other kind of use cases.
Yeah. So let's get to this Rush to Zero Run on Less event you just did a few months ago. So, I think it was 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, you and I had a conversation. You're like, hey, this Run on Less is pretty cool in the States. And we think there's an opportunity to do that in China. And then, we kind of, I think the effort can be kind of daunting and sort of big, and you got to get, fleets and truck builders to agree to do it and so forth. So, but that came around where last spring you gave me a call and said, "Hey, Mike, we're ready to do it," and you executed. You executed one. So tell us about it. What triggered it? Why did you decide to do it here in 25? And let's get into that effort a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I think we actually started to think about doing that from like around 2018 or 2019, around that time. Because when I first heard about Run on Lights in 2017, I thought this was a great idea at that time. And we were thinking about doing that starting from free efficiency tax. But things changed very fast here in China. And starting from 2020, where it's like a COVID there, and the several years passed, like the new energy heavy duty trucks in China are going to a kind of more mature situation that we found in 2025. There are a certain amount of the trucks in the market. So we found, it's like if we do something like Run on Less, it's going to be definitely diving into the new energy trucks directly instead of other kind of solutions, because this is really attractive to the market. And also one key factor we think about doing it right this year is that we found, if you think about the truck's saturation, it's like an S curve. It is just at the kind of a starting and then growing into a quite fast kind of a slope there. At that moment, I think this is the right moment for China. So the thing we want to do with this Run on Less is like we just push it a kind of with a really strong hand, and also moving that directly into a faster speed, and increasing the confidence in the market is definitely very important, because a lot of people now, they don't know, that they have no awareness about how these trucks are doing, and also how these trucks are good or not. So we need to do something to let people know about that.
Yeah, those followers, they're saying, well, that might be good for them, but it'll never work for me. And they've got limited confidence in them and so forth. So I remember you asked me to join. I joined the kickoff in I don't know, September, via a video I recorded. I remember sending that over to you, and you used that. And then for a finale, you did a finale media event where I joined live. I remember that was like 2 in the morning here, which was
Yeah.
great. But we had a lot of fun, where you and I basically did a fireside chat or interviewed each other for a while. And that was a lot of fun. So what technologies, how many fleets were involved? How much of the Run on Less did you do? Did you collect data? Take us through some of the details.
Yeah. Sure. So we have 8 fleets and 21 trucks. Three different types of tax types. I think charging, battery swapping, and hydrogen fuel cell. So we had 7 days direct operating for those 21 trucks, and we took on all the operational data for those 21 trucks. Quick scan of that is like we observed like all those trucks are operating in very cost saving mode. It's like it's guaranteed like 300 to 400 kilometers per day operational, and also that leads to a cost saving. And for electric trucks, it's like about 1 kilowatt hour per kilometer. It's that kind of efficiency, and that can save a lot of money for the shipper and for the carriers. And also the hydrogen fuel cells have the same similar efficiencies. Beyond that, I think we found that like the current trucks comfort feelings, and also technology reliable, and also and the emission reduction is also very obvious. We see emission reduction about 40% compared to the diesel ones in these 21 trucks operating in 7 days. There are a lot of more details going to be. I think you guys, all this is going to be interesting in reviewing that, and we're going to be having a full report of that coming out in January. So it's going to be coming out with Chinese first, and then for the English version, it's definitely going to be exciting to share with everyone.
Yeah, I've looked at the data, and I think it's well done. And first of all, congratulations. I know we helped a little bit with some of the dashboard technology and sort of some of the ideas around how you incorporate video and that sort of thing. So I'm tell everybody this is definitely a run on less effort. I mean, it's very similar in objectives and execution to the run. So congratulations. I think the operating savings that you're talking about to improve cost around fuel is interesting to hear and good and significant. I think the upfront cost of your trucks in China versus the diesel are lower than what we're experiencing here in the States. We're a little more immature. We've got hundreds, not tens of thousands of heavy duty electric trucks in operation. So we've got a lot to learn and grow and work on the upfront costs. So I think if we can get in the States that upfront cost down, and then the third element of cost that you're suggesting that we believe we're just starting to understand, and it's really going to prove better, is the simple configuration of these trucks. I mean, the drivers love them. They're a better technology truck to run and operate, but they also cost less and they have better uptime. They don't have all those moving parts and all those places and things to fail on them. And so you're seeing better uptime, better reliability, better durability, and I believe we're going to see that, and that's going to show up in some pretty big cost savings that the industry is currently not expecting. So that's quite interesting. Yeah, we're looking forward to helping to continue, and we've got reports going on right now from our run on less messy middle, which also included, we had battery trucks and hydrogen fuel cell trucks in it as well. So kind of interesting that both these runs happen nearly the same time. So very good. What for you personally, was there one or two things that even surprised you when you got into working with and then publicly sharing the information from these fleets?
One thing that's really surprised me is like the fleets we draw here into this run and less, they are a lot more ambitious than we think about. Like they were thinking like, oh, we have like 8 or 10 trucks or 5 or 7 trucks. We expect, like they say, oh, this is good. We're gonna try this at this moment on this scale. That's enough for us. We're not gonna be bearing more cost for that. But actually, it's not. It's like several fleets are saying like, we're gonna be having 50 trucks in next year for electric ones. We're gonna be having 100 next years, and we're gonna be having full fleets with electric ones by 2030. Those are the things they are actually doing and having in their plans.
I feel that globally as well, that there's this is a movement that's that some of these fleets, once they experience and see what they can do with what, like we just talked about, durability, driver acceptance, cost, etc., that they're quietly enjoying from a business perspective what these trucks will do. and they're putting plans in place. They're just not very publicly vocal about it. I think they're still a bit skeptical about hanging their future on these trucks, and so they're a little bit, shy. But events like Run on Less give them a forum, and we see that here too. We had 13 fleets in the run this past few months, and it gives them a forum to brag and talk about what's working. And of course, there are challenges. There are tons of challenges around infrastructure and weight and all kinds of things. But thank you so much for joining us, and good luck on what you're doing. And maybe we'll do this again in not too distant future.
Really, thank you for your help on Mike on your Run Less experience, and that's the kind of the things that make us going to be making it real here in China. Without you, we're not going to be making that, and we're going to be continuing working with you and then learning more about how you do that and how you change or improve the trucking sector. So looking forward to that. Like, thanks.
You're very kind. Thank you, my friend. Take care.
Freight Efficiency with NACFI's Mike Roth and Friends.